Hi, I'm an introvert, and I truly understand how awful it is to network to find a dream job. Here are a few stories that may resonate with you and the anxieties and the shyness and uneasiness and of all the experiences you've had when it comes to networking. And don't worry, it worked out in the end. I understand that most of all jobs are secured in the hidden job market, not through online job postings. The old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know, is quite poignant. I'd rewritten my LinkedIn profile many times, rewritten headlines many times, went from one awful description to another. Some fact that I probably will be apologizing for on my deathbed. I had applied for dozens of jobs and heard back from no one. It was like the portal was a black hole and I had wasted 100% of my time and ended up deleting 100% of my soul. So I finally did the thing everyone tells you to do and that I had been avoiding like a dental appointment. I started talking to actual people, but I did it my way. The first one was a friend's barbecue, which I almost skipped. I would have loved to have had a strategy, but I didn't. Before I left, I had my sweatpants on and a strong preference for staying at home. But I went to the barbecue. I had no energy for the dreaded, so what are you up to these days questions, or how's the job search going? Which, when you're looking for work, whether you have a job or not, leads somewhere between a hug and a slap. But I ended up parked by the cooler next to one of my friends, and it was great. We caught up. I told him the truth. I was looking, and it was going great, if by great you mean catastrophically. He laughed, but then he said his company was putting together a new team because they were drowning in work. He said that I should talk to his friend at work, and it was the actual person responsible for hiring, a real lead at a barbecue while holding a drink. After all those interpretive dances on LinkedIn, a man holding a drink did more for me in 10 minutes. Another time I got really brave. I texted an old colleague, someone I had worked with closely ages ago, and frankly was a little intimidated by. I asked for 20 minutes of her time over coffee. She laughed. She said she was wondering when I was going to call, and she was right. We both knew she was right. The only person who had been protecting my pride was me, badly, in fact. She'd been ready to help the entire time, and I had been busy workshopping the perfect wording on LinkedIn. Over that coffee, she walked me through different sectors that I had not even considered. What the teams were doing, what it meant in terms of responsibilities, the overall opportunities, which fancy titles meant what, who's who. I walked out with something way better than a contact. I walked out with a roadmap and a little bit of confidence. Another one was with a family member. I became emboldened, possibly drunk on my own momentum, called up my cousin and asked for something specific, an actual referral into an actual role at his actual company. The thing I had been so terrified of doing. And he went to bat for me. A week later, he called back, a little sheepish. The role had been filled and they weren't hiring any more new people and nothing could be done. And here's the part that surprised me. It was not awkward. In fact, we just laughed. He blurted out some things and said, don't ever ask him for anything again because he's useless. But I put him at ease and was very grateful and such. But something quiet had shifted. I had asked a person for an uncomfortable favor. The very cliff I had been staring over for such a long time. And guess what? I'm okay. The favor just did not work out. I walked away more confident, which makes no sense whatsoever, and at the same time makes perfect sense. Finally, I did the scariest thing you could do, truly terrifying. I reached out to people who I had no idea who they were. They had no idea that I even existed. No shared connection, no warm path. Just an honest note about an article this person wrote that had genuinely changed how I thought. Wrote the note, hit send, held my breath, silence. Nothing. An impressive silence, in fact. So I tried again with a different person. I liked and shared an article again, same kind of note, but this time, this person wrote back the next day. We talked for about 20 minutes. She had no job for me, but she mentioned to me about 2 companies that were quietly expanding and referred me to a recruiter who lived in my area of the world. That's a secret nobody mentions about cold outreach. Sometimes it lands and sometimes it doesn't. And you generally cannot tell which one from the outside. So you do both. You do all of them. You learn not to take the silence personally, even though obviously, yeah, it feels personal. So in the end, a job did come via my friend at the barbecue, but I'm better for it because I did all of the above. The friend's barbecue, a direct ask from a family member, strangers that taught me to keep sending notes into the dark without flinching. I get a little embarrassed about how long it took me to figure this out, but I did. I reconnected with people. I made new connections. And that is what gave me the confidence as an introvert that networking works much, much better. There are other things to do, such as orienting yourself, the proper request, exiting, all of which is implied in the above stories. It just takes finding your strengths as an introvert, which in many cases is the one-on-one relationships you have and relationships you build. To learn more, look for my next videos or download my free template on how to get started networking for a job.